Good evening, hashtag Nation. We told you we'd be here. Paul, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, Marv?
I
How you
have
doing, man?
I have
Happy
not.
happy evening. It's a strange storm is a brewing when hashtag does a stream at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. But we're getting to the crazy part of the year, so we figured why not go live and take some questions and kind of see what hashtag Nation and Bill's Mafia want to talk about. So good times. How you doing, man?
I'm extremely excited to talk to hashtag Nation and get this ball rolling. But before you do that, right over Paul's head over there, the little subscribe button. Yeah, we need that. We just hit a milestone today. 1,400 subs have joined hashtag Nation. We're going strong, and I venture to say that we have the best hashtag nation is the best. I mean, they're just amazing. Their contributions to the channel and the comment threads, the football talk that we have, I think it's just phenomenal. So just wanted to send a quick shout out to them.
Absolutely, I love them. Love them all.
Well, do you want to start this with a little bit of a teaser of what we're doing this week with everybody, or do you want?
Yeah, I mean, you are more than welcome to take control on that one, sir. You edited all the videos, so I don't know.
Yeah,
you tell me.
It takes you like 35 seconds. You have the memory of a goldfish. But
Yeah.
we broke down a little bit this morning. If you guys happen to join us on Sportscaster, where you could find us right here, right below my name, become a fan on Sportscaster. Guys, make sure you guys get in there. Yeah, if you decide to join us on that platform, we go live every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. And then we're going to be calling games, Bills games on Sunday with Joe from Believers Talk, who just he did his preseason wrap up about 8 o'clock tonight. But we're talking about, just to give you a little bit of a spoiler, we're talking about Duke Williams. We're going to be talking about the offensive line. We talk about Josh Allen a little bit, and we start as we always do. We happen to throw a few curveballs at you guys. So, Paul, did I leave anything out?
I mean, we talked a little running back. We talked a little wide receiver. I mean, no, I think that pretty much covers it. You know, right this time of year is all about roster building, right? So that's kind of where a lot of our videos are focused on is, you know, who's going to make the roster, who might not make the roster, right? Yeah. And that's always a daring conversation. You know, if Bills fans are nothing if not passionate, right? As I'm sure we can all attest to. So, you know, it's an adventure as you kind of stroll through and try and figure out who's going to make the squad and who's not. But with that being said, you know, it's an exciting time of year because you really don't know what's going to happen. Once the season gets rolling, kind of get a feel for how things are going to play out. You don't really get surprised all that often. But this roster building phase is just a riot. So it's nice to have hashtag Nation here to kind of fly through that with us.
Yeah, and they're starting to pile in. Of course, Chris Spencer comes in. Talked to him yesterday on Twitter. D Wagon coming on. Accuracy issues. What accuracy issues? Did we start talking about something I didn't know about it? John Roberts. Hey, pretty ladies. What's up, John? I know you're always there to help us out, buddy. Yeah, D Wagon said that dime to Sweeney was elite. Yeah, that was a great throw. And a little bit later in the game, we started to see Jackson tried to make that same throw to, I believe, Trowbridge, with not the same result. It wasn't very good. But you know what? I would still take Tyree Jackson over Kyler Murray because Kyler Murray looks abysmal right now. He's so awful. They hitched their wagons to that guy.
It's a rough. It's a rough sell right now, isn't it? Tyree Jackson's it's brutal. But this is what you're going to get, man. You know, you're talking about an undrafted quarterback from the University of Buffalo. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the Buffalo connection, and that was mentioned actually on the community tab of the YouTube page. I love the connection. I hope that there's some development that they can work with here. But single read, like this is a kid that, you know, a few months ago said that he wasn't coming back to UB, even though their team was coming back. The majority of that team is coming back. And he said, listen, I'm not coming to UB. I'm going to enter for a transfer. And nobody touched him. And he goes, well, I'm not going back to Buffalo, so I guess I'll go into the draft now. And then nobody drafted him. So he ends up in Buffalo. And, the last 6 months for him have just kind of been, this is where he's ended up. And the question is that good enough for the Bills? I mean, in previous seasons, perhaps, but I'm not really thinking I'm not really thinking that this is the future of the position. A lot of people, I'm sure, were very excited about him, but I mean, this is a kid that he's on the Bills because this is where he's ended up. His decisions have led him here, and honestly, he's fortunate to have a team in his backyard.
Yeah, I was of the mindset that if everything in this offseason was tailored toward helping Josh Allen, you think that's what it was. Everything, the wide receiver signings, getting offensive help in the draft. I mean. Getting another defensive tackle to see if you could generate pressure with 4. Maybe you can create more turnovers with 7 in the back end, and then getting more possessions for your offense. And everything was tailored toward helping Josh Allen. And one of those things is if you start to have some receivers start to break out on the second and third teams, Jackson, he's got a cannon. The guy's got a cannon. He's a tall, lanky guy that has a cannon. Right. He's very similar to Allen in that respect. So if guys were going to make the jump from, let's say, the second, third teams up to the first team to play with Allen, they wouldn't be in a shock because going from Jackson to Allen is a little bit closer than going from Barkley to Allen. So, right. I mean, Barkley's of the mindset of like a Joe Montana where Montana used to say, I don't throw darts at balloons, I throw balloons at darts. So that's what he.
That sounds like something Chad Pennington would say.
Chad Pennington still can't break a window if he was next to it. That's the craziest part.
No, God, no.
So we're starting to get some feedback in the comment section. Dable, your boy Dable, starting to come in, and
my boy. Are we really talking about this? My boy. Come on now.
You like Dable as much as you like Ranch.
That's no.
You actually like Ranch?
I don't mind Ranch. I mean, if we're going to debate on chicken wings or not, then clearly we're going to have a problem here. So,
Hunter Smith came in. He said, if the offense continues to succeed during weeks 3 and 4 of the preseason, which they're running very vanilla concepts, then sputters to nothing for the first few weeks of the regular season, is Daboll gone? And I know you had a very specific. You have a horse in the race as far as Daboll because you got a bet going on with a couple people, but objectively speaking, is there a leash on Daboll?
I mean, it's overall record, right? I don't really know if the Bills are in position to be able to say that this offense isn't performing and kind of pull rank at that point. So, I don't know, man. Listen, Rick Beam, Brian is Paul Sizzle's boy. No, Rick, no. I did mention, God, who was it? I say, it was Jablonski. Eric Jablonski. I have a bet with Jablonski that Brian Daboll will not get a head coaching job. Actually, this is a forever bet, ever. And I also have a bet with Rockpile Report that Brian Daboll will not start and finish the year as the Bills' offensive coordinator. Now I'm not wishing ill on the Bills. I just want to remind everybody that the Ravens won the Super Bowl firing their offensive coordinator like 5 weeks before the playoffs. So just a reminder, these things can happen, right? It's not death to a team, just as long as there's a succession plan. So, I see a lot of comments here in the chat again, kind of talking about Tyree Jackson. Yeah. And guys, listen, the kid just throws bullets right now. There's just no touch. He's got a lot to learn. Are you going to put a practice squad spot on him? I mean, you could, right? Are you worried about Barkley being gone next year? If the answer to that is no, then why are you wasting your time with Tyree Jackson? Right? That's kind of the way that I look at this.
Yeah, I mean, third string, how much of a good position are the Buffalo Bills right now if we're discussing a possibility of cutting a third string quarterback? Okay, we usually don't even have a first string quarterback for the past 20 years.
Right. So yeah.
Now we're talking about cutting a third string. But one of the things that has been very interesting is the defense and very minimal talk about who's doing this, who's doing that. It's almost like all the focus is on Allen and this offensive line and who's going to make the wide receiving core and who's going to be running back. Is Wade going to make it? Whoa. Did you happen to notice what happened, Paul?
Yeah, what is that? I don't know. We're new to this whole thing.
It just says, since Litecoin is the official crypto of the Dolphins, here's hoping Buffalo embraces Bitcoin, the superior crypto. We got $5 donation. Well, thank you very much there, Jim Bitway. I really appreciate that, buddy. That's pretty cool. Okay, and then you and actually we got another great comment coming in. It said that Ryan Rauber Lacel said on Twitter that there's an increasingly likelihood that Zay Jones is cut or traded before the regular season. Do you agree with this? Not to give you guys too much of a spoiler of what's going to be happening this week on #Sports, but Paul and I were deciding who our wide receiving cores are, and one of us threw a little bit of a curveball at the other one about Zay Jones not being on this team.
It was me.
Yes.
It was me.
Yes. So, and I might have to abandon the chat because you and Daniel Gares are going to go back and forth on this because you guys have had a fight.
No way. I've got backup. Our ROCX 585 says Duke over Zay. John Roberts says Duke over Zay. I'm gathering a posse here. I'm feeling pretty confident about this right now. I'm feeling pretty confident because I did in my breakdown. I did say Zay Jones is not going to make this team. That you're looking at Duke Williams is likely going to take Duke Williams or Cam Phillips. I mean, it does look like Duke right now, but again, this could change at any minute. We're not prisoners of the moment, Mario.
That's it.
Get out of the
Trade
chat.
McCoy. We're starting Wade. That's your next comment, isn't it? We're starting Wade. Which, well, I mean, we'll continue the wide receiver.
I do want to bring up real quick before we jump anywhere forward. I do want to bring up that in the game the other night where you saw a wide receiver over 6 foot tall make a catch out of the slot was the first time I'd seen that in a while. It was Duke Williams, not Zay Jones. All right. He caught a ball, took a hit immediately afterwards. I mean, that's a rare find in Buffalo if you're Zay Jones.
Oh, stop it.
Bills fan 1970 says we're gonna keep both. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I was always of the mindset that when they first signed, here's the craziest part. If you go back, we have a video back in January when he first signed, and without getting too much into it, the first thing that we said, well, okay, he's making the least amount of money on the entire team. He came from the CFL. You don't know what's going to go on with press coverage. We talked about a bunch of different things with him, but we're like saying, listen, hey, he's got practice squad eligibility. There's nothing wrong with that. But we neglected to mention that he's 26 years old.
Mm-hmm.
That is kind of old to put a developmental project on your practice squad. So it's just he may be one of those guys that maybe sneaks through to the 53 because he brings such a unique skill set to the position that the Bills don't really have right now. So, Life of John, trade Zay to the Bengals. I've been talking about trading like 6 or 7 receivers to the Bengals for months now.
Yeah, you're right. And Rick Beam's calling us out because he in his comment, he said, didn't you guys say trading a draft pick in his third year isn't wise because their third year is when you really know what you bought? Yes. Yeah. For a wide receiver, absolutely. The rookie season, you kind of have to write off a little bit to a learning curve. But once you get a little bit deeper into their career, year 2 is when you start to see some return. You don't see Tyler Boyd show up all the time, right? Tyler Boyd was a guy that since he had invested a pick in, it didn't look great his rookie season. And then year 2 blew the doors off of everybody's expectation. That's not common. Normally, you're not going to see production out of a receiver till year 3 when they really start understanding a lot of the concepts that they have to run. Now, running concepts and catching the football are 2 very different things. And one of them you should have coming into the NFL, and the other you learn while you're in the NFL. You can't learn both while you're in the NFL. So,
yeah,
that's where I am with that.
Yeah, Zay. I still think he gets another shot. I mean, now listen. There's 2 different schools of thought here. Does he deserve another shot? or is this coaching staff too stubborn that they think they can coach anybody up, that he's going to get another shot? So we had spoke at length about, okay, the players that made the 53-man roster of a 6-10 team, how many of those guys will make it through basically to this team that's supposedly supposed to be doing a lot better, possibly make a playoff run in there somewhere. I can't believe we're talking about playoff runs with this team that just went 6-10. However, there are going to be players on this team that are cut, that you like, that you're a fan of. So to try to prepare yourself now for that happening, I mean, that's one of the things that you have to deal with. And I don't know if a lot of Bills Mafia are ready. And I think #Nation, we've been echoing this statement for a long time, where, listen, you better be ready for some of these players not to be here. Maybe an Isaiah McKenzie, maybe a Zay Jones, maybe a TJ Yeldon, or Marcus Murphy. He's shown flashes here and there. So depending on the practice squad eligibility for some of these players and their contributions to both special teams and offense or defense, it's going to be pretty tough to make this team. They've loaded themselves up with a lot of talent. There's a lot of talent on this team. So,
I do want to point out, I'm seeing some Christian Wade talk in the chat. Just real quick on that, because we cut an episode about it. Just real quick on the rules, because this will only take a second. Christian Wade can make the 53-man roster. If he makes the 53-man roster and the Bills decide to place him on the practice squad after that, because they're welcome to do that, he is subject to waivers, and any team can pick him up and add him to their 53-man roster. If he does clear waivers, the Bills can place him on the practice squad, then call him up at any time. Any team can sign him off the practice squad at any time, right? So if he's placed on the practice squad through the international program exemption, he's the 11th man on the practice squad, can't be called up at all throughout the course of the season. Remember, he is only on a 1-year deal. If he does make the 53, they can waive him at any time to try and sneak into the practice squad if that's what they decide. So that is an option. So there's a couple things at play as far as that's concerned.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I just think that the foundation of knowledge that Wade has, it's not there yet to be on the 53. And but the Bills, once again, the clock is ticking for them. I mean, Wade is 28. So how long are you going to try to develop a 28-year-old guy, even though he doesn't have that type of tread? Or, he's not worn down. He doesn't have a lot of mileage on the tires, even though he has been playing rugby. He doesn't have football. He hasn't been getting pounded in football like that. So, we look at Andrew Decker actually comes and says DeMarco gets cut for 2 reasons. 1, Maurice Alexander and Sonoris are better special teams. Number 2, we might have to keep 4 tight ends. Number 3, anyone else can block at the goal line. A DT or tight end can do it. I think the opposite of that. I think the fact that they're starting to put him in so many different positions, an H-back, tight end, or whatever, because of the injuries that you've sustained in camp at the tight end position, they may have to keep DeMarco on the roster. They have familiarity with him. He does play a bunch of special teams, and I don't see them keeping 4 tight ends. One of those guys might make it to the practice squad. What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, that's a distinct possibility, right? So tight end is every position's up for that's a position battle, right? Literally anybody can make the squad if you play tight end. And when you start having health issues at an already thin position, to tell me that Jason Kroom and Lee Smith are your 2 veteran presence, that's a little concerning, right? Mm-hmm. We do expect Tyler Kroft to return at some point, and he's kind of lost in the sauce right now. I don't think the Bills have IR'd him officially yet. So they do expect him to return. So you kind of have to donate a 53-man spot to Tyler Kroft, who nobody has seen yet. And that's going to cost Sweeney, they'll never clear Knox through waivers. It'll never happen. Mm-hmm. Kroom becomes the guy that you might end up cutting and sliding to the practice squad, because you haven't seen much of him so far. He does still maintain practice squad eligibility.
He does maintain Pagula eligibility.
Oh, he sure does. He sure does. Yeah. But Kroom's job definitely becomes something that is a little bit more tenuous than I think a lot of people entering the season probably just earmarked him for what he's going to get one of the 4 tight end jobs. It might not be 4 tight end jobs. And you're looking at Tyler Croft, Lee Smith, Sweeney, and Knox. That might be all they want to carry for right now. And Kroom gives you the ability to come back in at any time off the practice squad. And if you lose him, you lose him. But I do want to point out that there's a lot of we do this week go over the wide receiver position. I just want to briefly mention that. When you start looking at the receivers that you think this team is going to carry, Mario and I have a debate this week as to whether the Bills are going to carry 6 tight ends or 7 tight ends and whom they would be. And it is very different, right? Our makeup, our depth charts are very, very different as far as who we would keep. It's interesting how different you can have with the team that's as talented as this, because you can really draw it up any way that you want. Mar, do you have anything that you wanted to bring up about that conversation? Got to tease that episode this week.
Yeah, the thing about it was we were of a different mindset, and you've already kind of let the cat out of the bag a little bit, talking about you don't think Zay Jones is on this roster, and I really do believe Zay Jones is on this roster. But the curveball about it was the special teams contributions of some of the players. Now, Paul has multiple receivers doing multiple things on special teams, and because certain positions come at a premium, you're going to have to figure out how to set your roster and how some of the things you want to do. Depending on how the running back position, I think when Paul and I talked about it last year, I think they had 5 running backs, and they had, for one game, they suited up only 4 wideouts. It was bad.
Terrifying.
I think it was Calvin Benjamin, Zay Jones, Andre Holmes, and Ray McLeod. It was a 4. And you're like, what? But depending on how many running backs you decide to carry and how many, I think that will affect what's going on with this wide receiver core. We're starting to see the main thing that happened in the Carolina game was that you had guys like, okay, this guy has to perform or he's gone, and those guys performed. So these players or these coaches put these guys in a position. Listen, you got to show me something, and they did. Albeit it wasn't really, as far as the defense of Carolina that they faced, Kuechly's out, Shaq Thompson's out. Those are 2 humongous pieces of that defense. I don't think Beasley roams as free in the middle. If that happens, if Kuechly's in there, I think it gets a little noisier in there for Beasley if Kuechly's in there. So that corner route, I think it wasn't the outside linebacker that was on Sweeney on that corner route that Josh Allen dropped in there.
I think so.
Shaq Thompson's there. So does that pass get completed with Shaq Thompson running down the field with Sweeney? You never know. So a lot of different things intertwine in our decisions to make having 6 or 7 wideouts on our roster. So
Brandon Zielinski says, "Hey Mario and Paul, so far which player surprised you the most during preseason? And who is the offensive and defensive player for breakout this year for the Bills?" I'm gonna kind of go real quick, and then Brett, I do want to talk about Clowney. So that's again a topic of conversation. We'll just hit on that real quick. Daryl Johnson is just so much fun to watch right now.
Damn you!
He's just so much
you
fun.
Stole mine.
There's a lot of players who have been surprising, but Daryl Johnson is just so much fun to watch. And again, as he starts climbing into second team reps, that's when you could really talk about him being a player on the 53, right? Whenever you start talking about a player making the 53, still taking third and fourth team snaps, the numbers tell you he's not on the team right now. Should he be? He's fun to watch, man. I would love to see what they could do with him. I would love to see it.
Oh, boy. If I were to pick offense and defense, most surprised, because it's weird because if you remove the 7th round draft pick off of Johnson, okay, he's doing what he should. You look at the guy; he's not as filled out as he's supposed to be, but he's doing great. The other guy that I'm very surprised about, as fast as he's picking stuff up, is Oliver. Now, you talk about he was going up against Quentin Nelson last week and wasn't manhandled like a lot of people thought. So Quentin Nelson is the baddest of the bad. So you're talking about a guy that's just mean and nasty. He's of the Taylor Lewan school of blocking. So, and Oliver was able to handle him, albeit at the weight that he's at. As far as the offensive side of the ball, I would have to say the biggest surprise that I have is Josh Allen, and the fact that he has been able to remain so calm in the things that he has to do. He looks like more of a third-year guy than a second-year guy in the offenses that he's running. So, all this stuff's breaking down around him, and there's bodies flying all over the place. Usually you see a guy who's in his second year who hasn't even started 16 games yet. He gets a little frantic, and for as much as Josh Allen ran last year, he just sits in the pocket, steps up, moves around, does what he needs to do, and throws the ball around. I'm surprised to see that so early in the preseason from him. I mean, that's why it's surprising to me to see that so easy.
Yeah, I'm going to say Christian Wade is the offensive side of the ball for me. I mean, there's a few there, right? Daniel Garis calls out Sweeney. Sweeney's been a lot of fun, but Christian Wade is the most fun to me. Now, again, we're going to talk about, does he have an option to even make this team? Again, there's a lot at play for Christian Wade, right? It kind of goes to your philosophical approach, as in he's on a one-year deal. He's 28. What are you really investing here? Can you put him on the practice squad and give him the looks that he needs? They tried to force feed him a touchdown in that game, and they just couldn't pull it off. He is the most fun, though, because if you get him in space, he's a riot to watch. Do I think that's going to translate? I don't think it's going to turn into a 53-man roster spot for him. I wish it did. Last year, Bills last year probably is in real consideration. This year, this team is just too tough to make. But that running back room is in rough shape. You take a look at the contracts that are there. It's in rough shape. We're going to talk about that a little bit more this week, so you can catch that episode. But that'll be a good one for you guys to catch up on, because that running back room is in a little bit more of a dire straits than it kind of looks like at face value. And I hope that comes across in the episode.
They can view that in 8 hours, Paul.
Hey, perfect. All right.
Our running back episode, as a spoiler, we talk about Gore, Singletary, and Yeldon. It's dropping at 6 a.m. tomorrow, so be sure to tune in for that. I'm sure Paul Berg will be all ready for that one, because he wakes up at 4:45 every day. This offensive line. I mean, we're starting to get some comments about the offensive line. Feliciano, Bodine, Spain. Of course, blah 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 blah. I know all of Dean Marlowe's stats. Don't have to worry about that. I know he had the pick against Indy, so he ain't gonna worry about that one. But you start talking about the offensive line. Mitch Morse, without question, seems like the most valuable piece of this offensive line. Okay, he's out. Ty Nsekhe does not play yesterday. Okay, so now you're going up against the defensive line of Kawan Short, Gerald McCoy, Bruce Irvin, and Don Terry Poe. And you're talking about going up against all those guys, and they don't even have a full line. And for the most part, neither quarterback was sacked. What does that tell you about this offensive line and how the cohesiveness is starting to go? And then the follow-up to that, what I want to talk about is, I don't follow directions. What the hell are you talking about?
We're supposed to talk about Clowney after this, but it's okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, go ahead. No, go ahead. No,
you're making a point. Please continue.
No, I just wanted to ask you about the offensive line and how it's starting to gel and how the cohesiveness is starting to go, and how does that play into who makes the team and who doesn't?
So the Bills are in a little bit of a spot, right? And this does kind of play into the Clowney topic, because you have Nsekhe, you have Ford, you're looking at Morris and you're hoping that he's ready to go, right? That's kind of what the hope is, because if Morris is ready to go, then Feliciano slides back to guard, and now you're in a real sticky situation between Cody Ford and Ty Nsekhe. And it looks like Nsekhe would have the edge at the tackle position if all things were being considered equal right now. That's kind of where you sit, and that's a great place to be, because it's not like it'll be hard to get Cody Ford snaps, because he'll be able to play guard and tackle. Like it's not going to be hard to get him snaps. Will he see a lot of snaps right away? No, but watching that Carolina game, how good did Bean look for taking Cody Ford after Greg Little, because Greg Little looked lost in the sauce.
Oh, I loved Greg Little too. I was a fan of. I thought I thought that's why they were trading up to get Little, and they didn't. And
Yeah.
Little looked like he needs work. Like he needs a lot of work. Now, does that speak to the maturation of Cody Ford, or does that speak to him playing next to Ty Nsekhe and John Feliciano?
Yeah,
Because
I don't know,
he
man.
didn't look like a right tackle against Carolina. Bruce
Mhm.
Irvin was running around him.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one to call. There's talk in the chat. Bills fan 7883. Spain got tossed by Short, so it is what it is. But I'm super stoked about that guy. Quinn Spain's having some penalty issues, right? And I think there was a little bit of concern about Spain when the Bills signed him because he played next to one of the best 3 tackles in the game in Taylor Lewan. So I don't know if teams were a little leery, thinking that they were buying something that wasn't really there. But I mean, he looks like a refrigerator. Like it looks like Sears just rolled the truck up and dropped a refrigerator at the left guard spot, and I'm fine with that. That's fine. That's fine. One man can try and push a fridge all they want. That's fine. Yes, our Rockx 585 Spain looks like he weighs 798 pounds. He does. He sure does. That is a solid individual. But the conversation about the offensive line does revolve around Jadeveon Clowney. So the question becomes, do the Bills have the opportunity to trade for Clowney? And there's a little bit more at play. So the Bills now have on staff the former general manager of the Houston Texans. And Nate Geary pointed out today that he wanted to give Clowney an extension and ownership wouldn't let him. So would that impact, is that why the connection to Buffalo has been so strong? And do the Bills really have the depth to give up a tackle in order to get him? Not only that, but let's not forget, Jadeveon Clowney, you could trade for him all day long. He's not going to come into the building unless he's making more money. The Bills are in position to do that, but the question becomes at that point, is it something you really want to do? So if you're Buffalo, do you think you could sacrifice a tackle right now? And, if he's looking at a 5-year, $100 million deal, is that something you could see the Bills pull the trigger on?
No, because the Bills were in a position. And what they were able to do is what they gave up assets in order to try to get Josh Allen, try to get their quarterback. So you're talking about, we talked about this a lot of times before. They were able to acquire, along with a bunch of other trades, a few trades, they were able to obtain Tremaine Edmonds, Josh Allen, and Tre'Davious White by trading back from the 10th pick. And they also had to give up Cordy Glenn, a left tackle, who's now, they tried to move him down to guard when Jonah Williams got there in Cincinnati. Now he's going to have to move back out to left tackle.
Right.
But what they were able to do is they were willing to sacrifice a player and, giving up certain players to get the guys that they want.
Mm-hmm.
Now they got the guys that they want. Now, I'm not sure if they want to sacrifice Milano, White, Poyer, Dawkins. Those 4 guys' contracts are directly affected by whatever they pay Jadeveon Clowney, who hasn't been a Bill for 2 seconds. So you're sending a message. Bean even said it in Embedded. You're sending a message to that whole locker room, depending on who you pay. Now, the only guy that they really paid that is one of theirs, it was Hughes. And he wasn't even one of theirs. He was an incumbent that they inherited. So the first guy that they've paid was Hughes, and they extended it. Why? Because he's a maniac out on the edge. So, and I'm not talking about Morris or Nsekhe, guys they brought in from the outside who they paid. But the majority of the time is the contracts that we've witnessed with the Buffalo Bills is they pay them contracts that they can either easily get out of, or if they're prove-it deals. They're 1 or 2 year prove-it deals. Like, okay, all right, you got Kevin Johnson, you got to prove it. You got to prove you can stay healthy.
Right.
You got Ty Nsekhe, you're 34 years old, 35, whatever, how old he is. All right, you got a 2-year deal. But they paid him starter money because they didn't have Ford yet.
Right.
All these other guys, TJ Yeldon, Chris Ivory, all these other guys, they're on 1-2 year deals that come in, and, Philip Gaines, Vontae Davis, you know what I mean? So, someone had a joke the other day about Vontae Davis, like John Krasinski spent more time in Buffalo than Vontae Davis or something like that. It was pretty hysterical.
Okay, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, but that being said, whatever you decide to pay Clowney, it's all well and good. He's a force. He's all these. He's everything is advertised. He is going to cut his cash is going to cut into all these other players that have grown up in this system. Are you willing to do that? I don't know. I don't know what the Bills are.
And Joe from Believers Talk, and we're really excited about Joe being here because what is going to happen over on Sportscaster Native will be simulcast on YouTube as well. You'll be able to find Mario and I and Joe teaming up to do all the play-by-play for you of all Bills games live as it happens. So if you're not able to grab the game or you can only grab the audio, I'm sure you can listen to Murph if you want, or you can catch that live with us. We think we're going to be more fun, but it is what it is. So Joe's going to be doing those games. Unfortunately, Joe is going to be by himself for those, but he's a champion at that. He did that all last season, and his play-by-plays were great. We had the opportunity to team up with him to do that through hashtag. So you're going to be able to catch that through Sportscaster or through us. Again, simulcast on Sportscaster and through YouTube throughout every game of the season. So when week 1 comes, Mario and I are going to take that over. And then for the Giants, you're going to expect to see Joe on that. We've got a whole schedule worked out for the whole year. But a couple things are still liquid for that. But for the most part, you're going to be able to catch the live play-by-play through us. So come join us. It'll be a lot of fun. You guys will be able to talk football with us as we do the play-by-play. And that's what it's all about, just have a good football conversation. So thank you, Joe, for being in the chat and for joining along. Really, really excited about that partnership. He brought up, though, that Clowney cannot sign an extension as of right now. And
he's on his 5th-year deal?
No, he's franchise tagged.
Oh,
right?
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
So under the franchise tag, he only has a certain window in order to negotiate an extension. And once that's closed, that's closed. But listen, there's no team in the world that's going to trade for a player that they don't think is going to show up. I think the Sabres have some familiarity with that. So since the Pagulas have already done that once, this is one of those wink, wink, nod, nod. Here's an offer that's not an offer, but it's what we would probably consider, if we could talk about it. It's one of those conversations. So I'm not saying that the Bills are above or below doing that. I'm just saying that if you're going to trade for a player and the Bills did it, that conversation had to unofficially happen at some point.
Yeah. I mean, if he has a couple years left on his deal, that'd be a different story. But you're not going to trade for a guy, especially, and everyone wants to trade, Lawson. Okay, trade Lawson. He's on the last year of his deal. You're going to eat all of his contract. You're going to eat all the Clowneys. That's not a smart business decision. And
right,
it's weird to me that individuals that decide to not pay attention to the salary cap or completely ignore the salary cap.
Right.
I mean, we talked about this before, Paul. It's such a huge percentage of what happens with NFL moves that if you ignore it, you're just being blatantly ignorant to what's going on. It's not, as much as the X's and O's determine what teams take, contracts are huge. Football's a business. So not many people, or people that choose to ignore that, they're really on the outside looking in. And I'm not referring to our hashtag nation member outside looking in, but what I'm saying is that people are outside looking in if they don't pay attention to the salary cap. So
now Derpy's mentions the Bills don't need Clowney, and if you look up and down the chat, you're kind of thinking the same thing, right? And Shivas Gold, I know you just mentioned Tyler Kroft. I know he came into this a little bit late. We had actually talked about Tyler Kroft in the tight end probably about the maybe 10-minute mark. So once this post, you can go back and catch the mention of Tyler Kroft. I think it was right around the 10-minute mark. I'm literally not keeping score there. I'm just letting you know that we did already talk about it.
Why must you yell at everybody, Paul? I don't understand.
I'm used to yelling at you, man. What do you want? Thank you, by the way, for everybody that joined us, Sportscaster this morning, 8 a.m. Saturday morning Eastern time. Yes. You can catch us exclusively on Sportscaster. So thank you for everybody that joined. That was a good time talking Bills football this morning. I do want to get to a few things that were found on the community tab, because if you're not getting the notifications from us, you got to hit that bell in order to get the notifications from hashtag sports. So if you want more stuff from us, go ahead and do that so that way you can get to it right away. So First question, Stephen Hauschka. Were you a little concerned at this point, or are you thinking that this is just kicking the rust off?
It's only a concern for me. I think it is. I think, you know what? The injury that he had, it might be a little bit more than we thought it was. If the Bills are able to score 5 times a game and score 30 points and not need an extra point, I'm fine with that. They want to go for 2 every time, I'm good. So, but no, as far as House is concerned, it's interesting that we're going to bookend this episode by starting to talk about a third string quarterback getting cut, and we're going to end this episode talking about a kicker. Where have we gone as Bills fans? What is going on? But I'm not concerned about how. I'm really not. If he has some lingering effects, the team will have to take care of that. I mean, we're not in a Chandler Cannizzaro situation like the Jets, where a guy retires after he's finished the game.
Right. This is not John Kruk, retiring at first base.
Which was hysterical,
not bad.
By the way. It was pretty damn funny. But I'm not worried. You?
No, you know what? Their other kicker, who honestly I had no idea was even on the team, attempted a 23-yard field goal. That's how serious they're taking the Stephen Hauschka issue. They're giving him opportunities to kick. If everything's going fine in practice, then this is just happenstance that he missed 2 field goals. I don't really think they're really too worried about it. If they were, I think we'd see the other kicker a little bit more often. I'm not really too concerned about that. Let's see here. There was Benjamin Murphy had mentioned. Also, is the offense going to be more dink and dunk this season? What's the run pass ratio? Is Foster in trouble? So the reason I bring that up is because dink and dunk kind of explains a little bit of what we saw in the Carolina game in the first series or two. What?
2 letters, EP system.
I know. You love that EP system, and you're not wrong.
Here's the thing. Daboll's from New England. We all know the track record that Daboll has. What is the EP system? We've said it on a couple episodes. Let me just give you a brief description right now. The Earnhardt-Perkins system is basically, it was invented for teams in cold weather. You take whatever the defense gives you. So basically, if you get a 4-yard gain, the defense kind of thinks, hey, we held them to 4 yards. But that's just the offense's goal. What they're doing is you're taking what they give you. It doesn't matter what it is, run versus pass. There's going to be a game where the Bills run the ball 40 times. There's going to be times where Allen throws the ball 40 times because that's how the defense that's set up against them is open. They're going to take advantage of things that have been going. If you're not familiar with the EP system, the team that runs it the best is the Patriots, unfortunately. So if you ever watch the Patriot game, you're probably asleep by the middle of the second quarter because it's boring. It's ridiculously boring. Now, they have a quarterback that can't throw second level in Brady because he's 67 years old. My point is this. The point is this. Allen can throw downfield. So you have to account for that. So what are teams doing now? Well, the front four is not rushing him as hard. They're not playing man because if you play man, you turn your back to Allen, he's going to take off, or the fear of that. So a lot of things underneath are open for Allen. Let's test this kid's accuracy. So a lot of times this year, what you're going to see is Beasley settling down in the middle of the field and Allen hitting him 6 or 7 times in a row. And then once they start covering that, John Brown's going deep. So they're going to take whatever the offense gives them. And if Allen can grasp that concept, it's going to be pretty scary this year. It's going to be pretty scary.
Yep, I agree. It's going to be more about last season. It was about keeping the offense on life support, right? They were just trying to score points however they could with whomever they happened to be able to find that showed up to play. It was rough there for a little while. This season is a very different animal. So I'm excited to see what's there. We talked about snap shares with the videos coming up this week at the running back position. So there's a lot to look forward to from episodes this week. And then next week, what we're going to be doing is, so we recorded all the episodes for this week. So everything for you guys is going to be normal, right? But once we get past this week, remember the final preseason game is coming up. And then at that point, we're going to have roster cuts all over the place. So we're going to do a bunch of live videos that following week because there's just going to be too much at play. there's just gonna be too much to record content in one day. Anything we record could be dead the next day.
Yeah.
So there's just no reason to do that. So the following week we're going to do a lot of live videos. So this week will be normal for everybody, but the following week we're going to be a little bit more on call for you to kind of cover anything you want to cover as the roster kind of evolves and changes. Because that'll be important to kind of stay up to date. And we want you guys to, if you have any questions, let's talk football, man. That's all we're going to be doing. Is just talking football.
Paul,
what?
We have discussion about Peterman in the chat.
Yeah. I saw the name Peterman. War Coder Nathan Peterman is the best defensive QB ever to play the game. That is pretty accurate.
Did you see the spoof on YouTube of Nathan Peterman, the number one player? You know, I did the top 100 countdown.
Yes.
Peterman's one. Someone made a spoof video of all his picks and Gruden talking about him. It's hysterical. Peterman versus Tyree all day. I don't even care. I'm not doing it. Not doing it.
Oh, man, if we're on that island, somebody call Derek Anderson. That's fine.
You're going to get him out of retirement again?
Why not? Dude, what Josh McCown just signed with the Eagles today. Like, anything's possible. Anything's possible.
I'm going to bring up a name that you said.
Mr. August. Brett just said I like the nickname Mr. August.
I would sign Chad Pennington right now over both of them. Over Peterman, I would.
Yeah. Guys, remember, not that long ago, the Bills had our third string quarterback, Webb, won a game for the Bills. It's possible, right? We're not that far from a kickoff specialist. We had a kickoff specialist not that long ago. We've come a long way. When you look in the rearview mirror, there's a lot to be proud of here.
I miss Thad Lewis.
Yeah.
I miss Thad Lewis. I love Thad Lewis.
I like Thad Lewis too. He did fumble the ball a lot, but oh well.
Hey, when you get hit by 4 guys at every play, it's hard to hang on to it.
That's true. So for this upcoming week, lots of episodes on tap. If you guys need anything, just let us know. I don't know if we're going to do any more live videos prior to the game. I'm assuming probably not. This was just kind of an opportunity to talk about what to look forward to going into the third preseason game. Guys, keep an eye on who is playing when.
Yes.
Big. This third preseason game is the game to watch. So if you hate the preseason, you've kind of been skipping out, you're like, oh, I'll just read the articles and I'll just watch the highlights. The third preseason game is the one that you need to watch because it's going to be very important to see. That's when you're going to be able to tell who the Bills are really taking seriously for 53 men and who they're looking forward to put out there in the fourth preseason game and stick into the fire, So we'll see what happens. So Jack Patrick, you only read the articles in the third preseason game. Just watch the first half, man. Just watch the first half. Just help yourself.
Do yourself a favor.
You'll get a lot. Yeah, you'll get a lot out of it.
All right. Hashtag Nation, thank you for joining us tonight on the Q&A session. We have, like Paul said, we got 4 episodes coming out this week. We may go live. If any of y'all, I got a little curveball. If any of y'all are in the Virginia Beach area, I'm going to be down there this week. Be sure to hit up. I'm going to put it out in the community tab, so make sure you hit it up if you're down there. We'll go out and drink a beer or whatever. I know Hashtag Nation and, Bills Mafia is everywhere. So if you happen to be down there this week, I'm actually going down. For those of you who have seen a couple of the episodes, maybe the Bluetooth breakdowns that we have, my brother has come on every once in a while. That's who I'm visiting. So we're going down there. He is a former Division I defensive coach. He is great at breaking down stuff. So me and him are actually going to bring it to the whiteboard. So the following week, not this week, but next week, you're going to get a little bit of a different slant. It's kind of sort of like a football 101 kind of session. If you guys are, what's the difference? What is the real difference between a 4-3 and a 3-4? When do they use blitzes? When do they use a cover 1 versus a cover 3 versus a cover 2? What's quarters coverage? Everything like that. My brother and I are going to be filming some things down there and going to bring that to you guys. So we're just going to put it in our vault. You can look at it and see all this other stuff or whatever. And we're going to have a lot of fun with that. So until when's the episode? Tomorrow at 6. So until about 7 hours, Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Hashtag Nation, you guys are always the best, and we'll see you soon. And go Bills.
Yep, go Bills, guys. Have a good one.